Hogwarts in the 1970s was a place of simmering tension. The first whispers of a rising dark power were beginning to trouble the magical world outside its walls. But within them, for most, it was still a time of relative peace and unparalleled discovery. For 4 particular Gryffindor boys, it was a golden age of friendship and rule-breaking. They were James Potter, the confident, charismatic leader with a brilliant mind for transfiguration. Sirius Black, the rebellious heir of a dark family. Fiercely loyal and daring to a fault. Peter Pettigrew, quiet and unassuming, always eager to follow in the footsteps of his more impressive friends. And Remus Lupin, the calm, intelligent, and bookish conscience of the group, who carried a heavy, monthly secret dot. It was Remus's secret that forged the unbreakable bond between them. His lycanthropy, a condition that brought him pain and isolation, became the catalyst for their greatest magical achievement. When they discovered his secret in their second year, they did not shun him. Instead, in an extraordinary act of loyalty, they decided to do something unprecedented. They would become animagi. Their goal was simple and profound: to keep their friend company during his terrifying transformations, to ensure he was not alone in his suffering. The process was arduous, a feat of magic far beyond the Hogwarts curriculum. They spent 3 years in secret, poring over ancient texts in the library, practicing complex transfigurations under the cover of night. Hermione Granger would have been proud of their dedication, though she would have been appalled by their flagrant disregard for the rules. Finally, they succeeded. James became a magnificent stag, Prongs, Sirius a great, bear-like black dog, Padfoot, and Peter, a small, twitchy rat, Wormtail. Together, as Moony, Remus, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, they were complete. Their transformations allowed them to roam the castle grounds with Remus during the full moon, offering him the animal companionship that soothed the wolf within. But this new freedom brought a new challenge. The castle and its grounds were a labyrinth of secret passages, hidden corridors, and most importantly, patrolling figures like Argus Filch and his cat, Mrs. Norris. To truly be free and safe, needed more than just their animal forms. They needed a comprehensive guide. They needed a map unlike any other in existence. The idea was born, as most of their brilliant ideas were, late one night in the Gryffindor common room. "We need a map," Sirius had said, lounging in an armchair. "But not just any map, a live one. One that shows us where everyone is, all the time." The ambition of the idea was staggering, but to 4 of the cleverest wizards Hogwarts had seen in a generation, it was not an impossibility. It was a challenge. And so, the grand project of the Marauders map began. Asterisk, 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 creating the Marauders. Map was a magical undertaking of immense complexity, requiring a fusion of various powerful and obscure branches of magic. The 4 friends divided the labor according to their strengths. James and Sirius, both prodigies in transfiguration and charms, focused on the core mechanics. Remus, with his methodical and cautious nature, researched the deep, foundational spells needed to bind the map to the castle itself. Peter, with his ability to slip unnoticed into tight spaces as a rat, became their primary scout, exploring secret passages that even the ghosts didn't know about. Their workshop was the Shrieking Shack, the very place Remus was sequestered during his transformations. The dusty, dilapidated building became their secret laboratory. The first and most crucial piece of magic they needed was a permanent imbuing charm, a way to make a simple piece of parchment an extension of Hogwarts' own magical consciousness. Remus found the basis for it in a book on castle cartography, a spell that could absorb and replicate architectural data. They spent months casting it over and over, infusing the parchment with the castle's layout until every classroom, every corridor, every moving staircase was perfectly represented. Next came the most ingenious part, the charm to track the castle's inhabitants. This wasn't a simple tracking spell. It had to identify every single person, including ghosts and poltergeists, and represent them in real time. They painstakingly adapted the homunculus charm, a complex piece of magic that created a miniature, magical representation of a person. They layered this charm onto the map, one for each and every soul within the castle walls, linking it to the castle's own innate awareness of its occupants. It was this charm that allowed the map to label each moving dot with a name, but a map that showed everyone and everything was a dangerous object in the wrong hands. They needed a security system. Sirius, with his typical flair for the dramatic and disdain for authority, devised the perfect solution. He and James enchanted the parchment to respond only to a specific phrase. "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good." This acted as the magical key. To hide its contents afterwards, a simple mischief managed would wipe it clean. The final touch was the personality. They wanted the map to be a reflection of themselves. They imbued it with their own personalities, enchanting it to insult anyone who tried to read it without the proper password. It was a masterpiece of impertinent magic, a final defiant signature from the four friends. After nearly a year of secret work, late nights and close calls, the map was finally complete. A blank piece of parchment that, with a tap of a wand and the right words, came alive with the secrets of the entire castle. The first time they used the completed map was a moment of pure, unadulterated triumph. Huddled together in their dormitory, James tapped the parchment and uttered the words they had all been waiting to say. "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good." They watched in awe as intricate lines of ink spread from the point of his wand, branching out like veins, drawing the familiar shape of their beloved school. And then the dots appeared, tiny labeled dots, moving in real time. They saw Professor McGonagall marching down the Transfiguration corridor. They saw Peeves causing trouble in the Charms classroom. And most importantly, they saw the tiny dot labeled Argus Filch and another labeled Mrs. Norris, patrolling the 4th floor, far from their current location. They were, for the first time, truly masters of the castle. The map revolutionized their nightly adventures. It was no longer about luck and guesswork. It was about precision and strategy. Their trips to the Hogwarts kitchens became legendary. They would watch the map, waiting for the corridors to be clear before slipping out under James's invisibility cloak. They'd tickle the pair on the fruit bowl painting and be welcomed by the house elves, who adored them and would ply them with treacle tarts and pumpkin juice, which they would ferry back to the Gryffindor common room for a midnight feast. They discovered passages they never knew existed. The map revealed the one-eyed witch passage to the cellar of Honeydukes, allowing them to make secret, unsanctioned trips to Hogsmeade. They would return with pockets full of fizzing Whizbees and chocolate frogs, much to the envy and confusion of their fellow students. The map was their guide and their guardian. It warned them of approaching teachers, allowing them to flatten themselves into alcoves just moments before being discovered. Their reputation as charming, untouchable troublemakers grew, and at the heart of it all was their incredible secret creation. A map became more than a tool. It was a testament to their friendship. Every adventure, every narrow escape, every shared secret over its magically rendered surface bound them closer together. It was the fifth Marauder, the silent keeper of all their secrets, the embodiment of their loyalty and their shared love for mischief. Asterisk, 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 as the Marauders entered their final years at Hogwarts. The world outside the castle walls grew darker. The name of Lord Voldemort was now spoken only in fearful whispers. The war that had been simmering for years was beginning to boil over, and its long, cold shadow reached even the hallowed halls of their school. The mood shifted. Pranks and mischief, once the height of their ambition, began to feel trivial in the face of the growing threat. The map, once a key to adventure, now served a more somber purpose. They used it to keep an eye on their fellow students, to ensure everyone was safe, to watch for any unusual activity. The tiny moving dots, once a source of amusement, now represented lives they felt a growing responsibility to protect. The innocence of their creation had faded, replaced by the heavy reality of the world they were about to enter. On one of their last nights at Hogwarts, before their final exams, the four of them sat in the Gryffindor common room, the map spread out before them. They watched the familiar paths of their friends and teachers, a silent, nostalgic vigil. They knew this chapter of their lives was ending. "We should clear it," Remus said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "For good." James nodded, a sad smile on his face. He tapped the map with his wand. "Mischief managed," he whispered. The intricate lines of ink faded away, leaving behind a blank, unassuming piece of parchment. It felt like saying goodbye to an old friend. Their adventures within the castle were over. Soon after they graduated, the map was confiscated from them by a triumphant Argus Filch, who had been trying to catch them for 7 years. But to his eternal frustration, he could never make it work. It remained just a useless piece of old parchment in his drawer of confiscated items, its immense magic sleeping, waiting. The map had served its purpose for its creators. It had been born from a need to protect a friend and had blossomed into a tool for joy and adventure. Now its magic lay dormant, a silent legacy of a friendship that would soon be tested and tragically broken by the very war they had used the map to prepare for. But inside that folded piece of parchment, the spirit of Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs remained, waiting patiently for the next generation of troublemakers worthy of managing its mischief.